Morning, everyone. I can see our attendees are all starting to file in, so please bear with us. We are experiencing a few internet issues this morning, so I'm really hoping that the connection will hold up for the duration. So just bear with us a moment, we'll start in a second. Okay. Just going to give it one more minute. Still a couple more coming in, so just bear with. I realize people are jumping from the last calls probably into this. Okay, I think I'll get started. So good morning, everyone, and thank you all for joining us this morning for what I hope will be a useful webinar in hints and tips on how to prepare your application for the 2022 US-Ireland Research Innovation Awards. I'll quickly introduce myself. I'm Aisling Roach. I'm a Programme Manager with the Royal Irish Academy, and I have responsibility for the management of delivery and assessment of the Research Innovation Awards. My colleague Jen Riley, who's with us this morning, is my co-conspirator in the delivery, and Jen and I are available to you for any questions or queries or issues you may have in the run-up to the deadline in January. So we're recording this morning's webinar and to make it available on our website. So once the recording has been sorted out, we'll put it up on our website and we'll issue you with a link so you can find it. The link will also include a PDF of the deck that I'm showing this morning, so you have a full suite of resources there to for your assistance. I've been working on the awards since 2016. So what I want to do this morning is basically share with you some observations and insights from, I suppose, the other side, what I see in the assessment process that I feel, if we could share it with you guys at preparation stage, could be helpful to you when you're preparing your application, and of course helpful to the assessment panel when they're making their very difficult decisions in terms of which of these great innovations to shortlist, and of course the most difficult decision, what are the winners in each of the award categories. I need to be very clear here, I have no input or influence into the actual assessment. So what I'm offering here is purely insights and observations, no guarantees. So what we'll cover this morning, a quick introduction to the awards themselves, their purpose, the award categories, the criteria. I'm going to go through, there are 8 questions in the application. So I'm going to go through the 8 questions. So eight is not an unsurmountable number of questions to answer, but I want to go through each of those to give you a sense of what the panel is looking for when they're looking at your responses to those questions. I also want to give you some hints and tips about how to maximize the process, because I'm conscious there are word limits or time limits on each of your answers for those questions, but there are a couple of loopholes that you can take advantage of to really maximize your application. We have the Q&A and raise hand functions, which you should find at the bottom of your screen. I've disabled chat just so there's no confusion, because I'm not going to check chat for questions. I'll only be checking the Q&A. So at the very end of the presentation, I'll open the floor. But if you have a question or if you need to leave early, pop it into the Q&A, and Jen and I will try and address as many of these today as we can. Other than that, we're available at awards@ria.ie with any questions. If you have something specific to your application you want to ask us. Right up until 4:49 p.m., 59 even p.m. on the 28th of January, which is the deadline for applications. So I'm going to move on. Sorry. So just a quick introduction to the awards themselves. The awards are a joint initiative of the American Chamber of Commerce and the Royal Irish Academy. And this year they're sponsored by BT Ireland, Ernst & Young and the Irish Times. So for those of you who are not familiar with the Royal Irish Academy, the Royal Irish Academy is Ireland's learned society. We were established by Royal Charter in 1785. And it is an all-island body of experts in the sciences and humanities. We support research excellence and promote awareness on how science and humanities benefit society and enrich our lives. There are approximately 600 members of the Academy, and they're all chosen for their distinguished contributions to academia and research in the sciences, the humanities, the social sciences, and public service. Membership is by election, and it is considered the highest academic honour in Ireland. So the purpose of the awards is to recognise excellence in research innovation, creation, process and invention by an organisation as a result of US FDI in Ireland. And this is an image of our current president, Dr. Mary Canning, at the online award ceremony from 2020 in full flight at that point. And so that's the purpose of the awards. And then this year we have 3 award categories, which for some reason are not progressing for me. Apologies. That's what I get for putting animations in. So the 3 award categories are innovation in sustainability, innovation in enabling technologies, and innovation in talent development. There are clear definitions of each of those award categories in the application packs that you've already received. And I hope you've had a chance to have a quick look over those. If you haven't, don't worry, I'll go through them in detail anyway. But if you have any queries on any of those, again, maybe pop an email to us or pop in the Q&A and we can look at that as well today. So the criteria then, which are key to the whole assessment process and the preparation of an application process. The key criteria here are quality, novelty, impact, current relevance. So what is the really exciting new novel aspect of your innovation? How does it impact? How have you established that this is a relevant development? And how have you established that it's a quality innovation? The benefit of the innovation to US and Irish interests, and I really like this description here, with an emphasis on demonstrating how collaboration is leveraged to achieve more than would otherwise have been possible. So we're looking at the synergy of the relationship between the Irish and US entities involved. The exemplary nature, in a nutshell, why is this a winning innovation? And I suppose this is the key reminder here, this is a competition. And please bear that in mind when you're preparing your application, that you must be messaging to the assessment panel at all opportunities why this is a winner, because they need that information when it comes to that decision-making process. And finally, of course, evidence. You've made extraordinary claims about your innovation. You've put it out there, you've set out your stall, but how are you supporting that? How are you evidencing that this is all that you say it is? You'll notice here on this slide, which is a really helpful piece, I've mapped the questions to the criteria. So you'll notice for the first one, question 3 and question 5, this is where you have the opportunity to speak to these criteria and the supporting measures. I'll talk in detail about the supporting measures later. Question 6 for the benefit piece, 4 for the exemplary nature, and 7 for evidence with your supporting measures and your section C, which is the supporting documentation. This, I would say this could save you 45 minutes to an hour of work, so hang on to this particular slide. Little word on the assessment process itself then. So the assessment process is undertaken by a panel of experts, both in research and in industry, and that's a panel that is assembled by the Academy. The American Chamber is represented on it. Yes, to whoever asked me the question about, sorry, Lisa, hi, the slides will be available afterwards. Yes, when we send the link to the recording for this, the PDF of the deck will be there as well. The panel then has representation from the American Chamber, from the award sponsors, BT Ireland, Ernst & Young and the Irish Times. The panel is chaired by Professor Brian Norton, who is the Policy and International Relations Secretary with the Royal Irish Academy. Professor Norton was the president of DIT, and he is currently the head of energy research with Tyndall Institute in UCC and Professor of Solar Energy in TU Dublin. So again, once the panel is confirmed and finalised, we will share that information on the website as well. So in terms of pure transparency, so you know who's involved. The assessment panel will meet twice. They'll meet first on the 10th of March next to shortlist. So there will be a shortlist of at least 3 applications in each award category. So that means 9 of the total application field will be shortlisted. After that, then they'll meet again on the 27th of April, where they will decide on the winners. 27th of April is a key date because at the 27th of April meeting, the shortlisted organisations are invited to give a presentation to the assessment panel. It is a condition of entry into the awards that you and your team are available to give a presentation on 27th of April. It's about 25 minutes, so it's a 15-minute presentation, 10-minute Q&A. Allow another 5 minutes or more for entering and exit. The meeting will be online, so the presentation will be online, but I would urge you to please put that date into your diary. And finally, of course, the 20th of May is when the winners will be announced at the American Chamber annual dinner. So that's the process, that's the background. Let's have a look at the application form itself. So you will have gotten in your application pack a unique submission ID submission link. So that means that link brings you to your application form online. You can share that link, you can add material, you can save it. But please remember, until you submit it, we can't see it. Okay, so that's very important. You can work away and draft it, but until you submit it, we can't see it. So it's very important that that last final piece of submission happens on 28 January. There are 2 options for how you can prepare the application. One is to use the online form, which is a completely text-based form, or you've also been given a PowerPoint template, and you can use that template to prepare an application using any form of media that you can upload into that template. There are word limits and there are time limits. Please respect those. If you use both, you'll be disqualified. You can only use media if you're using media, text if you're using text, but you can't use both. So that's the format. The application details in section 1, this is very self-explanatory. Just 2 things to note for you there. The name is the contact. This is the person that we will contact for the duration of the process. And the second thing is the company title. The company title as listed in section A, if you are the winner, is the company title as it will be presented on the trophy. So please ensure that the presentation of the company title in this space is how you would like to see it presented in the public domain. So if you don't want to use abbreviations, etc., please don't use them there. Section B then, nomination details. So this is, again, fairly straightforward. We're looking for the title and we're looking for a very short description. So the title of an innovation and something that would describe your innovation in a tweet. So if your nomination is shortlisted, when we announce the shortlist, we will be tweeting out the details. So the control of how that narrative is presented is with you. So please think about it in those terms. So that's the start. Then our description for general audience. So this, again, 100 words or 90 seconds of footage. So it's very brief, but very much to the point. Don't use jargon, please. Remember that while this is an assessment panel of experts, they may not be an expert in your specific field. So please be mindful of that when you're describing your innovation. As I've said here, think about maybe how you'd like to see it described if you saw it in the Irish Times, or if you were in a social setting and describing it to somebody who had no background expertise in your area, how would you describe it to them? So you're looking to give a description that the assessors can grasp from the very beginning what it is your innovation involves. Then we can get into more detail. So this is your innovation description. So why is this innovative? Why is this new, novel, different? Why is it relevant? And how have you established that it is relevant? What is the problem? So one of these questions are just guides about how to think about the information that you present in this question. So what problem has been identified by the innovation? Why is this solution different to other possible solutions? And how is the innovation relevant in the current market needs? So why is it relevant? Why did you go about this work in the first place? And you can maybe touch on a bit of impact here, but there's more space later on for that. So the research innovation statement then, this is setting out your stall. This is basically saying, you've already said what it is, you've already given a description of it. This is really going to the next stage and saying, in what way does the innovation present a unique approach to the problem? How does it differ? What is exception? So this is key here. This is why is this the winning research innovation? Why is this better than any other thing you're going to come across in this field? So again, just a reminder about the competitive element of this, that you have to think about the assessors comparing this in a context. Now, impact statement. So like I said earlier on, you can touch on impact earlier, but here is where you really have time and space, 500 words, 4 minutes of footage. So you've got some decent time and space here to really talk about the impact. So how does the innovation contribute to improvement, be that in processes, be that internally, externally, locally, nationally, internationally, globally? What is its impact and where does it impact? Who does it impact? How does it impact? Does it make a difference in the public domain, or is it internally organizational? And what improvements does it make? What advances does this innovation make to your work, be that work internally, externally, or beyond? So there's plenty of space there to really detail that. Question 6 is all about the US-Ireland connection. So depending on your organization, your answer here will be slightly different. If you are an Irish organization with a US corporate link, then you need to describe the relationship between the Irish or your organization and that US corporate sector partner, and a brief explanation of the benefits. Then you will link this question to your supporting letters. I'll come back to that in a second. The MNC applications, you obviously have the Irish operations of the US MNC, so you will talk about the relationship in that context. And again, linked to the supporting letters. So question 6, supporting letters need to be consistent with each other. Number 7 then is your supporting evidence. So you've made all these great, you've established that this is a great innovation, you've established that it has relevance, you've established the impact, but now you need to evidence it. So how have you established that? Is there accolade? Is there an existing award that you've already received? Is there patent? Is there an academic reference at an international conference? These are just examples, but to think about how you evidence the claims that you've made. And this, so question 7 will link then to your supporting documentation. So whatever you put in here, you can then further evidence with the supporting documentation in section C. And finally, diversity. So how does diversity impact your work? So demonstrate to the assessment panel how diversity has impacted, informed, or is intrinsic to the development or the impetus of your innovation. So we need a narrative here about how diversity has informed the work. So that's the 8 questions. So that's, I think, fairly straightforward and how they map to the criteria. And hopefully there's nothing in there that is too daunting. So section C is all about supporting materials. And the letters of support are 2 key pieces. So letter 1 is internal, letter 2 is external. The letter needs to demonstrate the organization's support for the innovation and the application. So if there are accolades, list them here. You'll obviously have listed these in question 7 anyway, but restate them here. Detail the impact on the organization. Again, you'll have touched on this, restate it here. The measure of regard for the department of the work or the work. So the signatory here needs to be a super senior. who is saying this team have done excellent work and it is regarded internally in very high regard because, and again, it's competitive. Think about how this letter is communicating that this is a winning innovation. Enthusiastic tone, by the way, is really helpful, but it's very important because, you know, coldly stating this material is one thing, but actually, you know, think about the language in the letter so that the assessment panel are reading this going, wow, these guys have done great work and it's really, really appreciated. And that work is really highly regarded at a high level locally. The other thing I would say to you is, obviously the criteria won't fit everything about your innovation. There'll be elements of your innovation that won't fit into questions 1 to 8. The letter is the place to put anything that you feel is a gap or anything that you feel within the word and time limitations in questions 1 to 8, you just haven't had the space to elaborate. You can put that in the letters. It's important to say there are word limitations, time limitations on questions 1 to 8. There's a limitation on the amount of supporting material that you can upload. There is no limitation on the size and content of your letters of support. So use those letters wisely to restate your narrative, restate your pitch, but don't overdo this either. Try and find the balance between a good, enthusiastic, detailed letter without it being an incredibly lengthy letter, because the assessment panel will get frustrated if there are reams of material that they have to read. The second supporting letter then is the externals, the US piece. So again, this is is from the partner company if you are a HEI, microenterprise, or HSC based here. And it is to give us some information again around the relationship between the applicant organization and the US corporate link. This relates back, of course, to question 6. So you've given an outline of this in question 6. This is where you get to give the detail. And of course, importantly, how the innovation and the relationship have benefited both organizations and interests. In the MNC, so if you're the Irish operations of the US MNC, the letter needs to come from your US headquarters, detailing further information relating to question 6, and put the information undertaken, the work undertaken in Ireland within the global context and organizational context, so global organizational context. This, of course, can relate to your impact as well, but it's about that consistency. Sorry, on the note of consistency, please be mindful, whatever information you place in question 6, your supporting letter should support the information shared in question 6. And be careful to ensure that there's no contradiction between your letters or the information you put into question 6. So in other words, don't let your internal letter and the US letter contradict one another. Make sure that the narrative is working coherently. So that's your supporting letters. Now, the final part then is the supporting documentation. So you have 4 A4 pages that you can upload here. I think it's 5 megs on the PowerPoint. But the idea here is that it's a small amount, but it should complement what you've listed in your answer to question 7. So whatever accolade you have or evidence you have listed in that space should also then be evidenced in this piece. Keep it simple. Again, if you try to exceed the limit, first of all, if you're using it won't let you actually upload anymore. But the point is that for the assessment panel, this should be punchy. This should be very much almost like this is the list and this is what I'm looking for. So again, they need to complement one another. And the last piece is the declarations, which is very straightforward. All, of course, ensuring that research undertaken has done to the highest ethical standards, that the applicant's declaration that all the information provided is accurate, and of course, data protection, that you've read the data protection statement and you understand the use of data in the course of the process. So if I have a couple of key takeaways for you, very simply, clear description of the nominated innovation, remembering that while this is a panel of experts, they may not all have expertise in your area, so you need to make it very clear. Why is this a winning innovation? you know, we all know these are great innovations, but why is this a winning innovation? Supporting your key pieces. So you're supporting letters, you're supporting evidence. So support and evidence all of the claims that you make, and always speak to the criteria. When the assessment panel make decisions, everything is based on those criteria. One of the things I have seen over the years is amazing innovations that the panel have looked at and discussed in detail and have said, this is incredible work, but I'm not sure it meets the criteria. And that slightly breaks my heart, because what's happened there is it hasn't been presented with the criteria in the front. So think about the criteria and how your innovation matches the criteria. You can straighten your narrative in your letters if you feel that the criteria are slightly skewing it. But always think the panel are thinking about criteria. They need to be confident that what they're going to shortlist and what they're going to award totally meets and exceeds those criteria. And after that, the best I can say to you all is the very best of luck. There is plenty of time. Oh, sorry, apologies. There's one other small thing I wanted to share with you, which is around supporting letters. You should be thinking about your signatories now, because what often happens is people draft the letters and then send the draft to whomever it is they wish to signature the letter, and then the signature doesn't come back, and then closing date starts to close in and stress levels start to go up. So if whoever it is you want to see as a signatory on your supporting letters, I would say start thinking about who that is going to be and when you would need to contact them about that, to allow you enough time to get the letters back on the appropriate head of paper and all of those bits and pieces ahead of the deadline on 28th January. So there's loads of time now to think about how you will fit your great work to the criteria and to the application process. Time to ask us questions, which I'm going to open the floor now in a moment. But there's plenty of time, and I hope that you'll all find that useful. So the deadline again is 28th of January. Myself and Jen are available, like I said, for any questions, awards@ria.ie, and the best of luck. So I'm just going to stop sharing. And then I'm going to open the floor. So if anyone has, oh, good morning. So Mark, hi, sorry, I don't know if everyone can see this question. I'm just going to read it out. Good morning, everyone. This is from Mark Redmond at American Chamber. I want to thank BT and, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Ashley, for a great presentation. On behalf of the 2022 American Chamber President, Catherine Duffy, and Board, I want to thank BT and EY for partnering with us. I want to endorse that. These highly prestigious awards, which attract international and national attention, do in no small part of regard for the RIA. We're really excited with excellence in sustainability and enabling technology. Innovations being recognised in 2022, along with talent development. Big thank you to my colleagues at AmCham for their hard work on this key project. Wishing all applications every success. Please ensure your team represents gender balance and inclusion. Looking forward to seeing you all at the annual dinner in May. So very thanks, Mark. That's a lovely note. Thank you. So if there are any other questions, you can pop them into the Q&A, or you can raise your hand. Oh, they're in the chat. Okay. Sorry, they didn't come up for me. Okay. Are there examples of projects that, now, unfortunately, we can't share successful submissions from the past. That's why we have this webinar, actually, is to try and share those insights. So to be able to identify the things that were the difference between a great nomination and a winning nomination. And I would say to you, the key things are consistency, clear description, constantly mindful of informing the panel of why not only this is a great innovation, but why this is a winning innovation. And the clear description is really, really important, so that they feel from the beginning they've got a real grasp of what the innovation is, and why it is innovative, what is novelty, why it is great quality, how that was informed. I hope that answers the question, Lisa. What do you feel would be the most impactful video or text? Now, that's a great question, Adrian, sorry. The answer to that lies within your team. Some teams have an inbuilt skill set where written articulation is a key skill, and it's something they can do really, really well. Others really articulate well through other media. So I would say, think about your team and where your skill set is at. The panel, don't discriminate. The panel are looking for a clear description, whether it's a written clear description or a verbally articulated or visually demonstrated articulation. Makes absolutely no odds to them. What they want to know is, what is the innovation? Why is it great? What's the impact? What's the benefit? So I would say to you, think about your team and where your skill set is at for that. Social sustainability, well, this is about people. You know, how do innovations benefit people and society? So it is, I suppose, yes, market's moving beyond maybe innovation in the industrial space that previously the awards have looked at. So yes, we're looking beyond that now, and looking at how social innovation, sustainability in social innovation impacts society. So yeah, no, it's a really exciting development for the awards. Now, Barry, so presentation in terms of supporting letters. So hang on, I just want to make sure I'm getting the question right here. So in terms of the supporting letters, would one internal letter from a senior and one external letter from a US partner suffice? Yes, I think that should cover it. Yes, so you do need two letters. One is your internal and one is your external. So a senior internal and an external from the US, yes, is the answer to that. That should cover you for your supporting letters. Okay. Any other questions? You're welcome to raise hand, by the way, and speak to us if you wish. You're welcome. Gosh, this online format is so strange. I know I'm speaking to everybody, but it just feels so strange. I'd love to be in a room. Okay, so our entry includes a lot of video. Is there any way of including video and text? Can links to video be included? Now, okay. So you can use video and text if you are, sorry, I need to think about this one for a second. So say, for example, you were answering question 3. Sorry, so this is answering the question relating to use of video and text. So I need to be careful how I answer this, because if you use both in answering one question, it could disqualify you. So if you are using video to answer a question, use video to answer the question. If you are using text to answer the question, use text. So in other words, you could use video to answer one question, text to answer another. So depending on what you need, you have variety in the PowerPoint. So yes, you can do that. Yes, you can put links in the PowerPoint. It can be a little bit tricky, because where are you linking to and how do we distribute that? But I wouldn't put links in the letter, because they won't click on them. So don't put links into the letter. The letter needs to be a narrative. But yes, you can pretty much do everything else, but don't use video and text to answer one question. I hope that answers it for you. And again, if this isn't clear here, awards@ria.ie, drop us a line. We can arrange a call and get into any specifics, because I'm conscious everybody's application is specific to them. So there's little tweaks for everybody in terms of how we present this against the criteria. So we're here, drop us a line. We can figure these details out. So I'm just going back here to make sure I haven't missed any of the questions. I think I've answered everybody there. Well, thank you. Thank you. Oh, can you use appendices if needed to explain the given question? No, because there's word limits. So sorry, just to answer the question, can you use appendices if needed to explain a given question in more detail? No, you need to, you can, so the two things you can do is use your letter if you feel you need to give more detail on something, and your supporting evidence is the other place you can do that. So you have those 4 pages that you can upload as your supporting evidence. So maybe use that space as an appendix as such. You can, by the way, sorry, this also relates to an earlier question about putting links. You can put links into the supporting documentation. That's somewhere you could do it. And they will probably have a look at it from there. They wouldn't do it from the letter, but they would probably do it from the supporting documentation. So I hope that answers that question. So within the form, within the actual application itself, the answer is no, but then use the process. So use the letters, use the supporting docs to give you the space to give those explanations. Again, I hope that answers the question. And again, awards@ria.ie if you feel you need more information or more detail or to give me more context for a more nuanced response. Checking the chat, I think I've answered all the questions there. Are there any other questions? Again, you can use the Q&A or you can use the raise hand, whichever you prefer. Okay, if there's no more questions, I think I've answered them all. Just quickly going back through them here. I think I've answered them all. But if there's any other questions, please drop us a line, awards@ria.ie, and Jen and I will get back to you as soon as we can. And the best I can say to everybody is the best of luck, and I look forward to reading all about your innovations in January, February, and hopefully meeting most of you over the course of the process. So thank you very much, everyone, for your time and your attention this morning. I really hope you found that helpful. As I said at the beginning, we've recorded this. We will put this up on our website and we will email you the link so you can find the recording. That link will also include a PDF of the deck I was showing earlier on as well. And I hope that will be a useful resource when you're preparing your application. So thanks again, everyone, and hope you have a great day. Thank you.